What's up, guys? It's your boy Vic. We're back with another video. Your boy is killing it. We're consistent. We're gonna keep making this shit happen. And today, I was literally just thinking, and one thing I realized about my life at 31 is like you have to have moral boundaries, and you have to have morals in all aspects of your life. Your health, you have to have certain things you won't eat. Your health, wealth, certain things you won't do for money. Your love, certain things sexually you won't do. And then, you know, you got to have these boundaries in your life, bro. And you got to have morals in your life, bro. And I think the reason why we find ourselves in the state we are in today, a lot of people have lost their moral code. Like, we don't have a moral code, especially in America anymore. I don't know outside the country, but like in general, we don't have any moral code. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the most high person in the world, but you kind of have to have some kind of moral code. And that's why I think religion is so important and always has been important because it has given people a guide on morality, what's right and what's wrong. And I guess the general sense of morality is that it comes from God if you believe in God. Well, whether you believe in God or not, I mean, I believe that it comes from God. There's natural evidence amongst things that state whether it is good or whether it's bad, right? There's a natural morality that we all have any inside of us that we know when things are wrong and when things are right. There's a natural morality amongst everyone. And then there's also the natural causes that happen as well. Like, you know, certain things that you do wrong have an effect, right? And usually those effects have negative effects, right? Like, okay, I'm not gonna be like I don't want to be homophobic, but the reason why I think homosexuality is morally incorrect is because first thing first, it doesn't produce anything when it comes to sex. You cannot make a child out of a man and a man having sex or a woman and a woman having sex. You can't make a child like that, right? And I'm not, I'm not judging. I'm just saying I think it's morally incorrect because it doesn't produce anything. I also believe that, I've seen and I've heard, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, but you can look it up, and if you want to find some documents on it, but it seems pretty sensible that let's take a gay homosexual couple, right? What you find is when they get older, a lot of them have, an bowel movement problems, right? So when they're going to take a dump, it's hard for them to control their bowel movements because they've been, taking it through the back door for like, you know, uh, forever, right? And so they can't control their bowel movements. So it's kind of like a negative effect. It's kind of against nature. You know what I mean? Certain things that are just against nature. And so when we see those things and we hear those things and we understand those things, we know that, okay, like there's negative consequences to that, right? Or like, let's say, sex outside of marriage, right? Well, there's a lot of negative consequences with sex outside of marriage. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I don't do that. But what I'm saying is, I think the reason why it's wrong, well, I think it causes a lot of emotional damage, especially to women, but to men too. I mean, men don't trust women don't trust men these days, and I think it's because we've all done each other dirty. And that's one of like, if you look at any religious texts, like they all talk about no sex before marriage. So when you see that, you ask, okay, why? Well, there's a lot of emotional damage that goes on. You're chasing pleasure, right? Most religious texts tell you don't to not chase pleasure, and that's the same thing with like a homosexual relationship. the only thing you get out of that is whatever kind of pleasure you're getting out of that. And that's all you're getting, right? You're not getting a child out of that. And you might get your relationship, but again, in the long run, it doesn't pan out. Well, the same thing with having multiple partners. Like, if you look at Samson in the Bible, he had too many partners and he lost all his power. And so, I'm saying this to say is the reason why having sex outside of marriage is wrong, I believe, is because it emotionally damages women and men, but more so women. There's a lack of trust in our society, right? And for the man side, you don't need to have sex with a lot of women. You don't really need it. You want it. It's an urge. It's a biological urge, just like it's a biological urge to eat and continue to eat and eat. But if you don't learn to contain yourself and to discipline yourself when you're eating food, you'll get fat. Well, it's the same thing with women, right? If you do too much, you end up going down a path that's too far. Like, I feel like guys who have sex too much, eventually, they're continuing, because after you have like a couple of women, it ain't really much different, right? So as they continue to have sex, I believe that eventually you get to a point where it's almost like a high that you're looking for. The new girl, the new this, new that, new this, new this, new that. And you're looking for that. But the truth of the matter is you'll always be looking for that. You'll always be chasing that pleasure, that new girl, that new, cat. I'm trying to keep it PG friendly, but you'll always be looking for that next one. And it's just like drugs. Like, you just continue to look for that next hit. And I believe that all that religious text says, you choose your woman and you stick with that woman. And I believe that's accurate because you're just going down a hole of pleasure and it doesn't lead to anything. So my belief is find you one woman, stick with that woman, and do what you need to do. Yes, you have urges to go mess with other women. Our basic biological nature as a man is the one that reproduce with as much woman as we want to. But it's not helpful for you, and it's not helpful for society to do that. I believe you find one woman and you have as many children as you want with that one woman. I think that's the most effective way to live. There's arguments for other ways, but I do believe that the traditional man and woman relationship is the best way to do things. So, and that's morality when it comes to around sexuality. Right? There's certain things you should do, certain things you shouldn't do that I believe actually hold true. And we forget these things, and we take these things for granted, and we even get criticized if we say something like that. Hey, I don't know how this video is going to do, but I do know that that's not the mainstream view of things, and I do know that a lot of people might not agree with that. But I believe the Bible, even the Quran to a certain extent, has some things right. Well, definitely the Bible. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to. The Quran, but also has some good teachings, but I don't believe it's the holy text. Nonetheless, they all state that, you shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage. Homosexuality is wrong. And then just general things, that you should and should not do. And you should do your best to try to follow those guidelines, because I think it leads to a more fulfilling life. I truly believe that. Like, having one woman that sticks with you throughout life, hopefully you guys live long and well together. I believe that that's the ultimate and most effective way to live. And then there's so many other things, right? There's so many other things in life that you have a moral code to, a moral code, and you should have one. Or you'll just be doing things to just do things. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got no real morale, you just be doing things to do things, and I don't think that's the best way to live your life. I think you should always have purpose in the things you do. I really don't understand people who do things without a purpose. Like, even with my friends, like, I feel like I don't want to hang out unless we have a purpose together. You know what I'm saying? We're something that we're doing together. Or or like a relationship. Like honestly, like having sex outside of marriage, there's no real purpose to it except for pleasure, and pleasure is not a real purpose because it's endless. There's no end to it, right? And so that's how I kind of feel about life, and that's how I kind of feel about relationships, wealth, health, anything, right? There's got to be some kind of purpose behind it. If it has no purpose, then you're seeking pleasure. Pleasure is not wrong in itself or bad in itself, but pleasure by itself won't lead to anything, right? If you're eating to nourish your body is one thing. If you're eating to just eat, that's gluttony, right? That's one of the deadly sins, right? So develop some kind of moral code, fellas. For me, it's Christianity. It's what I grew up with, right? That's kind of how I guide my life through a Christian lens. That's how I kind of look at the world. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. It's up to you. But you should have some kind of moral code, and you have to have a reason and a basis of why you believe in what you believe, right? Maybe you got to experience some certain things that you've experienced. That's why you believe it, and that's why you don't do certain things. Like maybe you don't eat certain foods because of this, and this, right? Or maybe you don't do this, and this because of this, and you know what I'm saying. You got to have a reason of why you don't do it, and beyond personal experience, even because you know somebody's personal experience could be morally incorrect, but because they've experienced something that's caused them to believe in whatever they believe in, they might think it's morally correct. Like if you look at Hitler, right? Hitler probably most likely thought killing Jews was a morally correct thing from his experience that you know Jews were bad people. So now he morally thought he was correct for killing them. Well, we all know that all Jewish people aren't bad, just like all black people aren't bad or good. All Jewish people aren't bad or good. All white people aren't good or bad, or Chinese people aren't good. We know that. We know that in general that all, it doesn't matter what race or religion you're at, all the people aren't great and all the people aren't bad. And so, killing 6 million Jews is morally incorrect. But if we only go off moral relativity, where you have your experience and I have my experience, right? If we only go off that, then Hitler is very much correct in what he believed because it's all relative at that point. Whereas I believe there's a God, and I believe that God gives us morality, and he says murder and killing is wrong, or killing is wrong. So if Jesus, or not, I mean, if God says killing is wrong, then killing is wrong. So Hitler is morally incorrect. So that's why I believe in a God, because we all have morale, and he gives us through the Bible a correct way at looking at life, and a way that I believe is the best way to live your life. Now you can look at the Quran and say, okay, well, that's a whole nother debate, right? But I generally think that religious people are and can be morally correct and live a better and more decent life than people with no religion. But people with no religion also can live a great morally correct life. But when we try to influence society and you don't have a God, or you don't have a reason for why you do the things you do, then those people can't necessarily follow you to an end, because maybe they've experienced something different and that's why they do the things they do, which you might deem morally incorrect, like killing people. Whereas if they followed a religion, then they would just believe that killing people was wrong because God said it was wrong. So I don't know. This one is kind of deep, but I've just been thinking, and I've been kind of like trying to get my thoughts out and to kind of understand my own thoughts and understand where I'm headed in my life, because I want to lead a good life, right? I want to lead a life of respect, honorable, and I made some mistakes in my past, and I'm trying to like develop my own sense of morality, like what I'm not gonna do, what I am gonna do. One of the things I've done in the past is I've lied, or I didn't tell the truth about certain things because I was scared of the consequences, and I realized that sometimes you just got no, all the time you have to be honest, even if it hurts, even if it means you lose in certain situations. Be honest. I think that's a good moral code to stick by. But I remember times where I wasn't honest, and because I didn't have the moral code, at least it wasn't strong. I think I'm gonna write out my own moral code. I mean, first of all, I'm gonna follow the Bible first thing first. That's because that's what I grew up with. That's what I know, and I think it's led me pretty well. And I'm gonna continue, but I want to write out what I believe. I want to write out the things, that I think is right, and like live by that, and then live and die by that too, because I rather live and die respectfully and respected because I know my moral code than live a life with no backbone, with no boundaries or nothing like that. So, but the key is figuring out what I do and what I don't do anymore. Like for me, I don't like going out no more. I don't like going out to the bars and drinking and getting drunk. I don't like it no more. So if that's what you want to do with me, I'm sorry. I'm not the one. I'm not the one no more. I don't mind going to I don't mind going to a restaurant and going to eat and drink. I'm cool with that. But if you're talking about like some kind of nightclub where we can meet girls and shit, like I'm looking for my wife. I'm not looking for all this extra shit no more. Like I'm not chasing women no more. It's such a waste of time. I'm looking for someone I can build a life with. That's my new mission. And so that means no more going out, no more drinking, no more doing all this crazy party and shit. I gotta find something else that I just enjoy doing. Like I like riding bikes. So I'm gonna get me a bike and I'm gonna go ride my bike. That's what I enjoy doing. And I'm gonna be on bed at 9 to 10 o'clock. I don't like being out late. It's just no fun. And then I feel empty and wasted at the end of the night. I don't feel accomplished. I don't feel anything. I just feel like, waste of time. So I want that one woman, and I want that life. That's what I want. At 31 years old, that's what I want. I'm not chasing cat no more. You feel me? It's literally a waste of time. Hopefully I find mines and I find a woman I want. But right until then, I'm just building up and getting my shit right. Because y'all know the story. Back at my mom's crib because my mom got sick. Then I got fired at my job, and now I'm kind of like starting over. But things are looking good. Things are looking better. I just want to make sure that these next 5 to 10 years that I'm moving morally correct. All right, guys, it's your boy Vic, back with another video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.